Yeah, alright guys, and welcome back to another episode of Versus with me, Franny Jeffers, where finally the eternal question will be answered. Who would win between a squad of Roy Keanes and a squad of Patrick Vieiras? The rivalry between these two players runs pretty fucking deep. They were massive rivals, and they were proper rivals when they were at Manchester United and Arsenal respectively. They were proper rivals. I feel like today, off the top of my head, there's not many proper rivalries between two footballers. There's sort of, I would describe Messi and Ronaldo as like a passive-aggressive rivalry, where the rivalry between them is sort of circumstantial because they're the two best players in La Liga. So they're going after the same records, they're going after the same individual honours every year, and they're playing at two rival clubs. So that has formed this rivalry, which they've just sort of fallen into. Whereas Keane and Vieira, they fucking hated each other. They absolutely despised each other. In the back of my mind, I'm sort of hoping that one of these matches gets abandoned today because too many players get sent off. But we will see how that goes. Now, in the red and white corner today, we have the 2002 Roy Keane 11. So Roy Keane, I should say actually, both teams are from 2002 because that was when, in Footy Manager terms anyway, both players were in their prime. So I think it's like a 29-year-old Roy Keane against a 25-year-old Patrick Vieiras. I'll check in a second. But yeah, in the red and white corner, Roy Keane, formerly of Manchester United. And the good thing about this rivalry, which we've not really, I don't think we've had before in any of the episodes, is that both former players are now managers. So they've got their own managerial stats, and their managers are accurate. They are accurate representations of the players in real life. So this is Roy Keane. You'll see he's not that great a manager. You can also see that from the time he spent at Sunderland. But he's pretty decent overall. He scored 57 goals in 463 league appearances, so saith Footy Manager. And he got 9 goals in 67 caps for Ireland. Probably should have had more caps than that, Roy Keane, but for reasons he didn't. And Roy Keane, in his prime, I would say in 2002, was like the beating heart of one of the best football teams ever to have played. Like that Manchester United side between sort of the mid to late 90s and the mid 2000s was just incredible. Just absolutely incredible. Well, to be fair, right up until Fergie left, they were pretty incredible. But mainly, it has to be said, around 2000, they were probably at their best around that time. And yeah, Roy Keane in the centre of midfield was just an absolute bulldog, just a monster, just a twat. He was an absolute twat, and you don't get enough twats in football anymore. The game has changed, even in the last sort of 10, 15 years, to the point where you can't, like at the start of the game now, you can't just throw yourself in and leave one on the opposition. It doesn't really work like that anymore. You'll get booked or a red or whatever they feel like at the time. It's very inconsistent. But it's a real shame because I think football could definitely use a couple of Roy Keanes at the minute. Who's the nearest thing we've got to a Roy Keane now? Probably a Lee Cattermole, Joey Barton, Scott Brown. It's not great. And in the red or gold corner today, we've got Patrick Vieiras, also circa 2002. And I feel like the Frenchman has certainly won the battle of post-playing career up to this point, which is why his attributes overall are probably a little bit better. He's been smarter about it, I think. He played for Man City, then he moved upstairs at Man City, bided his time, watched what was going on, and then moved into management with New York City, where he's pretty safe because he's part of that whole franchise. But yeah, Roy Keane just sort of went headfirst into managerial jobs, and it just wasn't a good idea. So point to Patrick Vieiras there. Not that it really means anything for this series. I mean, there are a couple of words that are thrown around a lot in football nowadays. It's beast and tank. You can call anyone a beast or a tank, and people just generally accept it. Patrick Vieiras was both of those things, and was one of the best beast/tanks. But what a player he was! He was just a complete midfielder. Well, maybe not complete in the sense that going forward, technically, he wasn't the best, but as an all-round midfielder, you can't really get much better than Patrick Vieiras. He scored 44 goals in 456 league appearances, so saith Footy Manager, and he scored 6 goals in 107 caps for France. He was part of the Arsenal Invincibles team. Just a great, great player. So let's have a look at these players. Roy Keane first. We'll have a quick look at him. Just incredible. Like, technically, he could probably be a bit better. Like, dribbling isn't very high. Free kick taking, long throws, technique. Technique's a pretty big one, and passing isn't that great. So, creatively, he's not really a force, but we know that. That's not what his game was about. Look at this. That is incredible. That is bordering on cheating. You can't have that good attributes, mentally and physically. So unsurprisingly, he is as aggressive as a player can possibly be. Also, he is brave as you can be, as determined, as good a leader, as good positionally. He's a great team player and a great worker, and he can run all day. And moving on to Paddy V. Again, just staggering. Just bloody staggering, these attributes. Not quite as many 20s, but he's more rounded. He can pick a pass better. He's more creative. He's better in the air. He's got better technique and first touch. So he's more of an all-rounder, although he's not as blood and thunder. He's pretty fucking blood and thunder, but he's not as gung-ho defensively as a Roy Keane is. Let's just have a quick comparison, actually. I don't know why I don't do this more often. So comparatively, in terms of set pieces, definitely Roy Keane has got the edge. Going off these attributes, Patrick Vieiras cannot strike a dead ball to save his life. But he, as I say, is much better with his technique, his passing, his heading. I'd say the mental attributes even each other out. They've both got the strengths and weaknesses, and Vieira's better in the air. Patrick Vieiras as well does have a sizable height advantage. He's got a 6-inch height advantage over Roy Keane. He's 6'4" to Roy Keane's 5'10". So it's a difficult one because you'd think that'd give Vieira the edge from set pieces, but as we've already covered, he can't take a set piece to save his life. So he's got a bunch of massive Vieiras in the penalty area to aim at, and he'll just put it out for a throw. He can't do it. It's also worth pointing out Roy Keane is a little bit more versatile. He can sort of play at centre-back or sweeper if you want him to, whereas Patrick Vieiras is only capable of playing these two central midfield spots. So, interesting. Here we go then. Let's see how the teams are shaping up. I'm going to stop showing you the odds because I'm fairly sure they don't mean anything at this point. They always come back pretty much the same for every two people I put up against each other. But let's have a look at the lineups. Patrick Vieiras going for a fancy little 4-2. It's kind of like a 4-2-3-1, but weirder. But it is smart of him. It is very smart of him to be playing 3 players in their natural position, which certain players, namely Neymar and Bale, just seem incapable of doing. They just don't want to put players in their natural position. Vieira is doing, and is doing very well. So he should be covered defensively because of these 3. And he's got these 3 players up front who will try to do the attacking on their own by the looks of it. Maybe with Vieira 15 as a playmaker? Not sure. Who's to say? Roy Keane, on the other hand, you wouldn't really expect anything else from him. It's very old school. It's very Alex Ferguson. It's very Manchester United. It's a 4-4-2. 4-4-fucking-2. And yeah, that's just about all you can say. It's about as standard as it gets for Roy Keane. And I've got to say, out of all the matchups I've done so far in this series, I'm probably most excited about this one. Maybe Gerrard, Lampard and Scholes I was as excited about. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what fucking 25 Patrick Vieiras can do against 25 Roy Keanes. Excellent. It's a Vieira free kick. Can he actually take them? He passes short. Good plan. Vieira 22 hits it and it bounces away. And Patrick Vieiras 22 picks up the ball again. It's another Vieira free kick. They're really taunting them with these free kicks. Vieira 3 has a go. Oh, it was blocked by Roy Keane. I thought that was a shot that had just gone way off the mark. But it's going to be a corner. Another set piece for the Vieiras to take. 5 minutes in and it's all they've done. Should mention, in case you're new to the series, this is a 2-legged tournament. So the winner will be sort of decided on aggregate. That was a A half-decent shot, by the way, from Roy Keane 8, but just wide. Roy Keane 16 chips the ball in from the free kick. It's headed away by Vieira. Vieira 23 nodded on to absolutely no one. Looking a bit isolated up there then. Vieira 15 again. He's got Vieira offside. He's just gone back on though. Vieira 3 to 15. Oh, he's tackled by Keane. Keane just charges in there. Leaves one on Vieira, but that's fine. Keane 25. Good ball over the top. Vieira 4 cuts it out. But the Keanes are coming back. They want to try not to play it over the top, I think, because these Vieiras... Oh, that was a decent chance for Roy Keane. Well, it wasn't really a decent chance. He just had a shot from about 25, 30 yards out, but it was a good one. But yeah, I do feel like playing over the top into the box isn't the way to play against these Vieiras, because they will just cut that shit out. Keane 19 to 16. Has a go again, and it's blocked and it's a corner. Vieira 15 with a free kick, lays it off to Vieira 9, who has a go from distance. Oh, it's punched behind by Keane 13. Both players just determined to smash the ball in from distance. It's almost like even now they're looking for bragging rights. They want to be able to score a bloody wonder goal against each other. Corner for the Vieiras, it's swung in and taken by the Keane keeper. The goal Keaner. It's funny how that works out every video. Vieira 3 holds it up in the middle. Vieira 3 to 23 on the left. Puts it inside. It's cut out by the Keane. Oh, but Vieira 12 to 15. Chance for the Vieiras. Has a go. Good save by Keane 13. Another free kick. Vieira 15 to 9. The Keanes still haven't worked out that they're passing it short from every free kick. 23 to 12. Vieira 12. Good save again. This goal Keaner is something else. He's having a brilliant day. It's another Vieira free kick. He actually has a go from that one, but it's wide. I'm starting to realise that the reason... Oh, it's a penalty for the Vieiras. I was just about to say, the reason why the Vieiras are having so many free kicks is probably because Roy Keane is just kicking the shit out of him. And he's just given away a penalty for the Vieira 11. Now, just before he takes this, how good is Patrick Vieiras? 25 specifically, needs to be him on penalties. 7. Okay, Vieira steps up. He's put it away. Luckily, Roy Keane is not much good in goal. I mean, he should be. He's got a very good keeper that I've given him. But Vieira 25 with a 7 attribute for penalty taking puts the Vieiras into the lead. And just 8 minutes before half-time, the Keanes aren't going to be happy. They're going to be seething in that dressing room. It will be difficult to find an area of wall, a section of wall in the Roy Keane changing room after half-time that has not been punched, that does not have a dent in it, I think. Keane 5 nods it down to Keane 19, to Keane 25. What can he do? He has a go. Oh, Vieira 13 catches it. He's been relatively untroubled so far, Vieira 13 in goal. Whereas the goal Keaner has been quite busy. He's been kept quite busy, but he's pulled off some good saves, but been beaten by a penalty. I feel quite sorry for him, actually. You got to credit the referee, really, here. Like, the amount of fouls that have gone on today, a lesser referee would have pulled a couple of red cards out by now. He's only given 2 yellows so far. Both for Roy Keanes, you won't be surprised to know. Corner comes in, but it's taken by the goal Keaner. Roy Keane 5 to 25. Good ball through to Keane 19. Has a go. Oh, saved and held by Vieira again. Another yellow card for Roy Keane, and this time the Vieiras have a free kick and a highlight. Finally, it's like the second highlight of this half. And the Vieiras quite happy to just knock the ball about between themselves, avoiding the closing down of the Roy Keane front line. It's a long ball forward. Vieira cuts it out again, but it's come back to Roy Keane 5. Now it's 18. To Roy Keane 2. Roy Keane 12 to 5. 18. It's a good little bit of build-up play, but they need to make it count. It's a shot from distance again. Again, it's got no power on it. And again, Vieira 13 just catches it. And it's just very easy. Vieira 25 hits the free kick wide. You could really sum this match up in 2 sentences. Vieira's free kick wide and Roy Keane's long shot shit. Keane 19. The long ball across the field to Keane 16 to 2. Little flick, a little fancy trademark Roy Keane flick there. Keane 18 to Keane 5. To 2. What can he do? Make it count, Roy. Keane 19. Wasn't that a boy band? Keane 5 to 16. Oh! 5 minutes to go in this first leg. The Vieiras are still in front just by 1 goal from the penalty. It's bounced back to Roy Keane 6 though. His 2 to 5 has a go. It's another bloody catch. It's a foul by Keane 11. Hacked down with 2 feet, literally 1 second before the end of injury time. And Keane 11 gets a red card. Oh, so needless. I mean, I'm a bit disappointed with the referee for that one. Look at that. Roy Keane didn't even make it off the field before the game ended. That was so pointless. And it's like cutting off the head of a hydra. Just there'll be another one in the next game to take his place. Needless red card. But advantage Patrick Vieiras 11 in a match where, weirdly, I think the biggest failings in both teams were in defensive midfield. Because both teams got through that defensive midfield barrier quite a few times and managed to get shots on goal. Which was another failing, admittedly. Shots on goal and defensive midfield. But they should be a lot better at defensive midfield. Well, neither team is going to blink. The Keane 11 have chosen to turn up in their away kit, which is interesting. So instead of having red versus gold like I expected, we're actually having white versus gold, which is an odd choice by both teams, I think. But never mind. That's just what we'll do then. So we've got the same lineups. Obviously, the Keane starting 11 is a bit different for all it matters because of that very late red card. And surprise, surprise, it's a free kick for the Vieira 11. It's bounced down. It's a fucking penalty for the Vieira 11. Right. Vieira 24 steps up and sends Roy Keane, the goal keener. God damn it. He sends the goal keener the wrong way. And the Vieiras are 2-0 up on aggregate, thanks to 2 penalties. And I was about to say something snidey about the fact that, Roy Keane gives away a lot of fouls and stuff. Would these penalties have been given? Would all these free kicks have been given in 2002? I'm not so sure. Especially if it was Keane versus Vieira. Vieiras have another free kick. It's hit. Oh, it's a beautiful free kick by Vieira 11. And I think that puts it beyond doubt. It's 3-0 on aggregate. And to be fair to him, we were looking at the start of the match at the fact that Patrick Vieiras cannot hit a dead ball to save his life. He scored 3 of them. He scored 2 penalties and a free kick. So he's got to be half decent. He's got to be better than the attributes would say. Roy Keane 15 to 14. Come on, let's have one back. 14 hits it. It's over the bar. That was a weird attempt at a save by the Vieira keeper. But yeah, we're getting fairly close to a unanimous result. And I've just thought, actually, this might be the first episode of Versus where someone has failed to even register a goal. And it might be Roy Keane. There's a booking. Roy Keane 10 has picked up a booking. But with 10 minutes to go, you've got to expect that is all we're going to get. And it's a strange one, because as I say, all 3 goals were scored from set pieces, which may or may not have been given when these players were actually players. But according to the stats, according to the way that the chances have gone for both sides, Vieira won. Even without the goals, Vieira was the better side. The Vieira 11, I should say. And I think the Vieira 11 might be the strongest 11 we'll ever get on Versus. Can you think of anyone who could beat a Vieira 11? Because I'm struggling. It's not just the attributes, it's the fact that he's just a wall of a man. One Patrick Vieiras is a wall. So if you've got 11 Patrick Vieiras, you're going up against 11 walls, and you're not going to beat 11 walls. Look at this, his pass completed percentage was nearly 20% higher than Keane's. He had 63% possession. Similar number of shots, but he had the better chances, Patrick Vieiras. Keane made way more tackles, but I feel like Patrick Vieiras just picked it up after the tackle every time, just picked up the loose ball, because Keane goes diving in and the ball bounces away. But yeah, I am not here to make if statements. I'm not here to question the validity of this win. The fact of the matter is that the Patrick Vieiras 11 have whitewashed the Roy Keane 11, and the Roy Keane 11 become the first team in Versus history not to register a single goal against their opponents. So he won't be happy with that. He will not be happy with that, Roy Keane. Let me know what you think about these two players in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video as well. And as always, please let me know your ideas of Versus episodes I could do. Two players who you want to see pitted against each other in this kind of tournament. But we say congratulations, Patrick Vieiras, commiserations to Roy Keane. And apart from that, guys, I will see you next time. Bye.